Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Heat. What does her looks have to do with him harassing her?
Listen, y'all be getting booty ties. Y'all be like, ooh, booty, and you just harass. Like, y'all don't even think straight. You just think booty.
How do you differentiate those? All right, I love the dick, or I love the thing that's attached to it.
All vaginas are beautiful.
They are.
Hey, like back in the day, people like when you displayed like being a nerd or stuff, like why are you acting white? What?
And I always hated
Why
that.
is nerdiness associated with caucasity? I don't understand.
Me personally, I just keep my comments to myself, bro.
Girl, I seen you in all of them comments, man. I seen you sending memes and you going like this. I
Somebody was.
Childhood trauma, okay?
somebody was tromboning a flute on the side. That's what they were doing.
Wow, they are really dogging me in these comments. They said I'm definitely more of a future than a Russell Wilson. Yo, y'all are foul as shit. They already talking about sensational. Look, I'm about to have my Hoochie Daddy shorts on all summer. Look, I'm ready.
Let me see
Oh
some
my
eyes.
god.
Real hot boy shit, okay? Real hot boy shit. Oh, you boy.
I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Real Heat, Season 3, Episode 3. So, for those who are new and don't know, every season of the Real Heat, we dedicate one episode specifically to mental health because the Real Heat takes mental health very seriously. But before we even get into all that, we got to introduce ourselves. So, start with the lovely lady up top.
Who said I was lovely? Anyway, I'm Cooley. Hi. They call me Cooley. Everyone's
Cooley,
favorite host.
yeah. My bad.
Like about to do the Shibuya
That's all.
roll
That's all I
call.
got for you.
My bad. Yeah, it's Anchor G Snooki in here, man. Ain't nothing too special, but the best thing ever that's been on this thing called the Real Heat.
And of course, y'all know me, Tommy Buck. So let's start things off with a possibly heavy icebreaker, depending on where it goes. But do you believe media affects moods and mental health, and how so? If you
Social media?
say media as a whole, TV, social media, internet, news,
Oh, yeah.
all that.
I think, in my opinion, it's not even like, well, yeah, I guess it does deal with mental health because I feel like with media, social media, all that, sometimes I become overstimulated. Um, like I am today, and I'm just like, I can't take it. So I just turn the shit off. What the fuck? Did I plug up? Bruh, hold on. I did some very intellectual person stuff, and I plugged in my laptop, but you see, I got two of them. So I have two chargers, but I plugged like the charger to this laptop in the laptop, but then plugged my other laptop charger in the wall because I'm a smart person.
A genius. But nah,
I'm
what
an
about you, Tommy?
intellectual.
That's been
Personally,
that social media effect.
I think media as a whole is just it's gotten so toxic. You can't even go on Instagram nowadays without seeing somebody argue about the stupidest stuff. um, going
before the
50-50, and um, how men and women should behave, and apparently everything now that a man does is spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's crazy how we live in a society now that's really big on being yourself, and positivity around every aspect of your life, but then everything you do is wrong in somebody's eyes. Honestly, outside of promoting this stuff for this page and promoting my own stuff, my own page, I really don't even be on social media like that now because
You're a damn lie.
it's so toxic. I am not lying to you.
You're a damn lie.
I'm always on social media. Like, well, more so like Snapchat is kind of my jam because like no one really follows me on Snap, so I just be going ham. So I don't really care because I only have what 11 followers. I don't care. I'm gonna be wilding on Snap, so it's kind of like my go-to. But no, Facebook for the memes, sometimes the reels, Instagram for the videos. I actually surprisingly am rarely on TikTok.
Mm.
Surprising
Same.
considering I've been trying to get actually back on TikTok and start putting content out again. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. The social media is a I don't know. It's a trickle thing. It's we got this source now where we can put everything that was hidden under the sun out in the open. So it's a lot of things that are culture shocks and just like reality shocks that come through with social media that I think affects a lot of people's moods as well. Depending on if you wanted to be spiritual or if you into like certain type of cultures or
Yeah,
ethnicities that you like. It's just so many things are brought out now that I feel like sometimes too much information can also affect moods as well. Um, Also, it's the biggest thing to trend now. So a lot of people aren't truly themselves. I feel like a lot of times because they tend to jump on the trend wagon, or they don't know who they are anymore because they jumping on the trend wagon, which takes a lot of uh, people uniqueness away. Which I think that's a mood effect right there. A
it
lot of people aren't
is.
unique because of that.
It's funny. Actually, when I was posting the last post for the Real Heat today, a post from Miss Kitty Rose
Hmm.
popped up today, and it's funny because I was going to bring this up tonight for the icebreaker. But she spoke about how a lot of people watch content creators and they watch these Get Ready With Me and all this other stuff, and they compare themselves to these people. And instead of using it as inspiration to how to better themselves or better their lives, they take pieces from it and try and emulate it. Which I kind of disagreed with that on that part because, in college it was always fake it till you make it. But she brought up a good point. If you're trying to be somebody else, how can you be yourself? You can't be yourself if you're constantly trying to be what you see on social media. And you see all these people who, at least on social media, they're doing well financially and they're taking all these trips and they're doing all this and they're doing all that. And a lot of people who may not be so fortunate, they compare themselves to that and they feel like they're behind in life and they're, as far as their pace in the race of life, like they feel like they're losing. And that could be such a just a mentally deteriorating thing, always feeling like you're failing, you know, you're not making progress in life, you're not where
I
you
mean,
want to
the
be.
we always what we all keep talking about this aspect like in a negative way, but it also sometimes is positive. Like it gives people an outlet to I guess express themselves or be who they want to be to the world. Because I mean, there's a lot of people like I honestly just don't give a fuck. And if it won't for my professional job, whew, people would probably be like, she needs Jesus. But it's cool. I have a lot of screenshots. But so I don't know. Like I feel like at the same time it could be kind of a positive thing too because like I said, like you see all these makeup artists on there who are just like, like it's therapy for them to record themselves, watch themselves, and get the feedback. So in a light, like yeah, it can be overstimulating, it could be draining. You see a lot of negative things on the news and things, but there's positive things too for mental health. Let's not just,
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely a journal for a
mm,
lot of people, especially a lot of people with art, or a lot of people sometimes use social media as a way to find people to connect, who have like minds.
Yeah.
That also helps us like group study, or I mean, there's many ways like that that can benefit a lot of people. So I definitely agree. I just it's a double-edged sword.
It
Social media is
is.
a double-edged sword.
And
It's just very fickle.
yeah, and I
everything.
mean, if we want to take it there, we can also talk about reality TV. There are people who really watch reality TV and believe like these people are really living their life. And there's been enough interviews nowadays to show like, oh, they take parts of the show that they want to take, and like they don't take the full thing, or I'm only pretending to be this person for the show. This isn't really me. Like, and they emulate it. And I think like the stereotypes and just the like some of the negative behaviors and stuff that you see on these shows, like it's a bad look because to some people it's entertainment. Other people like they look at this and like, oh, that person's so dope. They got so much spirit and they're all this, and they want to emulate that, not knowing that
Mhm.
person's nothing like that. And if it wasn't for the show, they probably wouldn't even act like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I feel that. I don't know.
Like
I get
you don't have nothing you want to add to that?
No, I mean,
Because
I
I
I
know
said
you
my pieces, man.
really big on Bad Girls Club and stuff out here, so I gotta.
I mean, it's the hottest
that.
thing
I don't
on
like that.
on on TV is Bad Girls Club. Bad Girls
Okay.
Club and Celebrity Deathmatch. You don't get no better than them two. Forget
Oh,
wrestling.
But you know what
WrestleMania don't hit
media
it like
is
them.
great for mental health? Y'all know what media great for mental health?
what's that?
Everybody need to stream
Look,
it. Anime. Do it.
I
Anime.
agree all the way. I
It's
agree.
funny you say that when you're the one who told me that. Notice something's missing in the corner right here. Something's missing because you said it was scary.
Bakugo. I didn't say that.
No, I'm talking about Snook.
I mean, it was like a
Well,
villain trying to haunt you at night.
He's not a villain.
Bakugo is not scary.
Well,
Anyway,
sidebar. There is nobody here gonna correct me on some anime. I know who he is. However, he still looked like he was a villain in the night for those who don't know about anime.
Right.
but he's not a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see? In the chat, she said baddies. All right. I haven't watched baddies. I watched the first season, a little bit of it, not this new season.
What is baddies?
It's
I
the
don't.
next level of Bad
Yeah, I'm
Girls
about to say
Club.
I don't watch
I like that.
none of that shit, so I can't tell
Is
you.
there a bad guy club thing? Is that a thing? Like not the parody. I've seen the parody skit.
Rock
Just
Pop Mangoes.
Not Flamingos. No,
Dean
it
and
is.
Leon.
I think they was trying to set up a bad boys club
I'm glad
because
they
I
didn't.
think the judge was Blueface and stuff like that, right?
Ooh, come on now,
Oh,
Blue.
I think I'm talking. Right. I don't know how
Um,
far it went, but they definitely was working on something like that.
I can tell you, last reality show I watched was Black Ink, and that was at least 3 years ago.
Mm-mm-mm.
But
Couldn't tell you.
what's been really helpful about social media, and I'm gonna bring this up because I have an 8-month-old baby or whatever. It's like I have fallen into rabbit holes on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok of moms and postpartum and like their journey before, after, during pregnancy and stuff like that. I don't know. I get stuck in them things, and it's just helpful to know sometimes because it's just like I don't know, like there's moms out there that go through a lot, and I feel it because I be there. I feel them. Soul sisters.
You know, and
You know
I
what I'm
and I
saying? Did you guys ever have to deal with like your spouse, wife, girlfriend with postpartum?
uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like I guess on the man side of things. 'Cause, I mean, I can go all day about the woman side, but I'm real curious. Like,
Well, I
what
could
is
say
that?
this. I could say that what's very underlined, I think, is more like what's the shadow of postpartum for a mom that is with a spouse is how postpartum also gets triggered for the male. Not trying to take no shine, no limelight, not trying to specify what goes on
Hold
for
on, repeat
a
that.
mother.
What would you say? Repeat that.
It triggers for a male as well. Once postpartum hits, um, it's very effective. It's like a infection that I don't think is being notified. There's a research on this about how a lot of relationships usually like having a child is a make and break point to a lot of relationships because it's a lot of things that get taken away. Like there's an identity crisis that happens on both ends of what the relationship identity is to what it was to what it is to what the woman's situation is to who she was to who she is. And same thing for the male. And I feel like I think a lot of men gets they get postpartum through it and don't even realize that they get it because it's not something that's stated or realized. It's not something that's visualized in our society that people affecting the woman who's having postpartum actually gets postpartum as well. That's my
Um, I don't know. I actually watched my ex-wife go through it, and it's crazy because it's like I saw the effect it was having on her, and it was like no matter how much I tried to help her, it didn't work. Um,
Put you in a depression.
huh?
It put you in a depression, did it?
It did. It was heavy on us, and I know like after my first son, she kind of bounced back from it. After my second son, I don't know. She just we never bounced back from it. Um, I don't think that's the reason why we split, unless like it was you know a factor from that postpartum that led her to do the stuff that she did. But I don't think that was the breaking factor for us. But it definitely put a strain on us. I don't know. Postpartum is definitely it's heavy, and I plead with every woman going through it or has dealt with it. Don't go through that alone. Do not go through that alone because it's rough.
But
And I mean, my ex-wife had help
you
and it was
say
rough.
that, but sometimes, sorry to cut you off, but you say that, but sometimes you don't even know that's what you're going through. Like, for example, after I had Aria, like afterwards, like I mean, after having a baby, there's that little period of bliss. You know what I'm saying? Like with on both parties, it's bliss. There's a new baby, new life. This is our first baby. Like, and she's beautiful, she's perfect, you know what I'm saying? And then after a few months, the whatever phase, people stop like calling and texting, asking for pictures every day, and stuff like that. And less people start checking in on you and stuff. And in my case, including my significant other, I mean, not to get me wrong, like I'm not gonna like sit here and put him fully like at fault or blame or whatever, because I mean, he didn't know that's what it was either. You know what I'm saying? But I was just always just felt helpless, hopeless. Like I didn't amount to anything, or I was gonna fail my baby, or like I don't know, like I lost my libido. There's a point in time I was like, what's going on with me? Because I'm a person.
Cut it
So it
out.
was weird that my so it was weird that my libido is just so like it was non-existent. And then it's just like I just lost interest in things I like doing. I was just so sad. I began losing a lot. I mean, I started working out more. Like I just stayed in the gym and I lost a bunch of weight. Like I went from 350 to 185 um in a matter of months or whatever. But it was just like blah. And
Mm-hmm.
then that ended up driving kind of a wedge between us because it just grew like resentment there. Because it's just like, I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I was irritated because he didn't know either. But he also didn't really pay attention enough to really know that if there was something truly wrong with me. If I spoke about it, it was a response of do something about it, or you know what I'm saying, what's crying gonna do, or you know what I'm saying, like real gas. Oh, sorry, Levi. Gaslighting type, you know, responses. As years
So
went on, you know what I'm saying, like it didn't get any better. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean that was pretty much like whatever. With Levi now, I'm gonna say now that I know the signs and stuff, like recently, I'm not gonna lie. These last few weeks, like I don't know what it is, but I wake up feeling like dread, misery. Like it's been hard to kind of push through the days, but I recognize it's probably just postpartum. So I've been like taking actions and steps. Like I've been getting out my flute and playing it a little more, and I'm into my like crystals and stuff. But trying to get into more animes again and stuff like that because I'm trying to like I guess
Brighten that mood.
like find an intervene. You know what I'm saying? Before it gets to the point where I'm just low and legit full on depression. Like I'm not trying
So
to
you
have
you
that
think
happen.
that since you had a child before, you think that that's what you're going through the same cycle? Like, are you feeling like there's a form of postpartum happening with
I
her?
mean, I don't know. I think so because it's just like I haven't really been sleeping well. Like I've been having nightmares. Like I had a nightmare where I'm driving and it's me and Levi in the car and like my legs stop working and we drive through a fucking house and die. And I wake up every time like that shit is terrifying. But at the same time, it's just like why am I having dreams like that? You know, and then I'm waking up feeling like um that shit is just eerie, man. I don't like it. I'm trying to like just combat it or whatever. But it's, I just attribute to that's probably what it is. And I'm just doing like I'm next step is once it gets warmer is spend more time outside
Hmm.
because
That was the other
me in the
question I had.
cold.
Was it? Yeah, I was going to ask you. Was it like were there ways that you got out of postpartum from your previous um child, the first baby that was born? Um, was it a frame, a
Why?
phase? Was it like a trigger? Huh? I don't know.
Why
I
why
didn't
are
know
you
how to
talking?
say it.
so
I always talk
So,
slow. You gotta hear what I'm
you know,
saying. It's very important.
I get what you're saying. So did it like what stopped it after Aria? So, it's an interesting question because I don't think if it did stop, it stopped and turned into like legit full on depression and anxiety and shit because I started having panic attacks more. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just crying all the time, angry sometimes for no reason, easily irritable. Same thing, like not sleeping very well. And then I would just dive myself into things to keep me busy, like when I started my master's degree or like my job and stuff like that. But then it got to the point where I dived myself into so much, I became overstimulated and shut all the way down. And then I failed out of school. I almost lost my job. You know what I'm saying? My child was starting to tell me she hated me and some more shit. So it was like, you know what I'm saying? My life went on a whirlwind for a while. As y'all know, we've talked about it before. Um, with last year being like, whew, I got pregnant with Levi, that was bad. But yeah, not that was he's bad. No, he's perfect in every way. Um, but just my mental state, and then on top of that, like with being pregnant, I was just like, I felt at the time like my current child doesn't even want to be around me. Why do I try to bring in another? Which I know that's not true now. Like me and my daughter, we are road dogs. Like that is my mini me to a T. But you know what I'm saying? Like you got those dark thoughts in your mind. And I typically don't like to talk about it, but fuck it, it's mental health episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, I mean, and people say they don't have these type thoughts, but everybody, I feel like, has these intrusive ass thoughts. You know what I'm saying? They think like everyone hates me. You know, say I'm alone. My family don't want me. You know what I'm saying? Like type shit. And you know that's not true. You know it from the bottom of your heart. You know it. So I mean, that's kind of what it is. And then I don't know, like to be honest, and that's why I don't know what's happening now because my mental health, like after having my son, like improved substantially. You know what I'm saying? Like I like being independent. I like doing my own things. You know what I'm saying? And it's just recently I've just came in this slight dip and I'm just trying to like combat it to not, you know, I'm just doing me.
I want to address a question, chat. Arnella asks us, where's Thirst been? Thirst, unfortunately, had to step away from the show. She has some real life responsibilities that were conflicting with her being a part of the show. And so that she would take a step away from the show um, until hopefully things get better. Uh, but just wish her well. She's still fam at the end of the day. There ain't no hard feelings between us. You know, real life, as much as we don't want it to, real life trumps the real heat. So it is what it is. But it's no love lost. That's still our girl. Ain't no hard feelings, no none of that. She just being an adult. We all know what that's like. Ah, so speaking of being an adult, let's talk about mourning. I don't mean like morning time. I mean like losing a lost one and having to deal with the uh the effects it has on you physically, mentally, just all around.
I got spit up on. Sorry.
And I bring this up right here because my sister and I were uh talking a couple days ago about our grandmother, and like she really was like probably the biggest support system I've ever had. And we were just talking about how much people loved her and how people were just drawn into her spirit and her personality, and people would come from far away just to come see her, and how she was. I think my grandma was 83 or 86 when she passed away, and then literally up until 2 weeks before we found out she was sick. She was full of energy, full of life, like you would have never thought she was that age. And then it was like, you know, she started doing things that were out of character. She was, lackadaisical. She was lethargic. She wasn't eating. She just, something wasn't right. So we took her to the hospital. Cancer, terminal, pancreatic. Um, and like we all made sure she went to the doctor. She could rely on me, my sister, my mom, my dad, her many children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. Someone was going to take her to the doctor. She didn't miss any appointments. And as much as it hurt losing her, I think the part about it that hurt the most was the fact that it came out of nowhere. And it's like we did all this preventive, all these preventive measures, and stage 4, out the blue. At no point, it never caught it until it was too late. And that took a toll on me because um next to my aunt, who was the basis for the tattoo I have on my left arm, um she was the greatest inspiration to me. And to lose that inspiration so fast and so swiftly without warning, it messed me up bad because I mean, of course, I knew people don't stay around forever, but it's like we do everything we can for her to be healthy, and then out the blue, she's just gone. I was angry. It's like you go to all these doctors, make all these visits, this place and that place, and nobody ever caught this. No one. Um, I don't know. It was a low point for me. Um, I kind of lost faith. Um, I didn't understand how somebody who's put so much good into the world could just be taken like that, and she suffered because even after we found out she was sick, I think it was maybe 2 weeks before she actually passed away. Suffered in a hospital bed for that pissed me off so bad. Um, and I say all this to say, that's my case with mourning, and I know everyone faces it differently, um, but it's rough, and if you don't control those feelings early, they can see something so dark, so dark. Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling.
Yeah, no, you said your story and you briefly stated like a piece of your morning. I mean, you said that you were angry, but um, like on the mental state of it all, like how long did that take, or is it still there? Are you did you get out of that? Um,
That
because
never
you also
goes
said something
away.
about losing your faith. I'm asking because that's a different story to each person. I know. I mean, in the last 7, 8 years, there's been a person detrimental that I've lost piece after piece. A couple people in the chat has experienced it as well. Talking about the same people that we lost the same people, um, and it's been going on for years. It's been a lot of people that we lost in the 8 years, um, and there were different things that happened between losing each one. There were different feelings between them. There were ways that it got worse morning from one person to the next, and there was ways that strength came out of even a loss. Realizing how important it is to take care of the ones who are here. I mean, that's so that of course, it never goes away. Um, but it can evolve, it can change, it could maneuver. So I'm asking more since you gave that story, like where is it now? Where's your mourning for her now? Where is it at now?
Um, so I let that anger go, subsided, um, and I had to just remember positives about it. Let that be inspiration for who I want to be. You know, when I get older, I want to be the same beacon of light that she was to so many people. I want to put good into the world and be that person that people are drawn to. Um, I want to emulate the good spirited person that she was. So I had to let that hurt go and let that anger go and, take that pain and turn it into something positive.
I might get crucified for this, but after everything, especially within the last 2 years, I'm not really sure there is a God because I'm just like, especially the number of children I've seen go in the last 2 years, from students to friends. You know what I'm saying? Like and then the whole that's God's plan. It's God's plan to end a child's life. Why? That don't make no fucking sense. Children are our future. The fuck? The shit makes me. I'm not gonna even go down there. This shit makes me fucking angry.
I want to say something on that too.
So
Oh,
hold on, my turn.
yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Do your thing.
all right. I guess before even 2 years or whatever, I guess my big thing is my grandma. She kind of helped raise me. There's a point in time my sister and I couldn't be in the same like room together, so I lived with her for a bit. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't the fact that I was sad that she was going because I knew it was coming. Like she was old, she lived a long, good life. You know what I'm saying? Like she was ready. You know what I'm saying? I guess it was the guilt of not seeing her more before she left. You know, because like I loved her, I adored her. That woman basically raised me. Like my personality is it comes from her. Like to be honest, let's be honest. She was a bitch. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes she said some racist shit, but I know she loved me. She loved the fuck out of me. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. It's hard. It's weird to talk about, but I loved her too. So I guess that part is hurt. And then from I guess the start of the pandemic is just wild. Like the people that leave from here or whatever. And then like 2 years ago, I'm not gonna give details out of respect of everybody involved, but there was a tragedy that happened that literally shook the earth. And I'm talking about, you know how you throw a rock into the water and makes those ripples?
Ripple, yeah.
Like that was this event. Those ripples, like it affects everybody. It literally affected everybody. And that people don't really like to talk about it, but I know everybody thinks about it probably every day. And it changed everybody's perspective on literally everything. And that's really all I can say about it at the moment.
I wanted to speak on
So
something because we usually talk about how like all these things, like how we talked about medicine one season, we talked about therapy, and you just said something that I've been going through a lot as well as far as death. Everyone has been dealing with these things and with mourning, and um, one of my biggest supports that I've been having lately after going from year to year to year has actually been faith. And that's something that's not really talked about at all, especially when it comes to stuff like this. Huh?
It's not. You're right.
Yeah, it's not. Actually, if anything, even for a person who does not commit or consistently give into faith, when something goes wrong, curse faith. So it's like even when you're not even into it 100%, a usually is who you choose or where you choose to blame, where you wasn't even involved from the jump start. But not saying like that, but just in general. I just thought that I should bring it out that that has been something that has helped me a lot. Um, Going through a lot of processes that I've been going has been faith. And the Him Almighty, Him upstairs, that man that be. And there's things that I went through as far as health wise, and there's things that I know people around me have been through that um, would be a test of that faith. And there's people that we've lost, young, old, massacres. Um, but I just feel like when you commit to certain things that supposed to be that help and shoulder, it gives you that leeway to, I guess, accept healing. Um, and that's what's been going on with me through faith. So
Nah, I respect that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I know in that period, I kind of turned my back on. I found it again. It definitely took some time, but I definitely found it again. Um, and it's funny because I think now more than ever, I've been more in touch with my faith. Just with the shit going on in my life, it's crazy. I'm already talking about faith, and I think the S word, same sentence. I gotta do better. But the point I'm trying to
right,
make is, you know, it's like the more things have been falling apart, you know, it's like the more like my faith has come through. And I'm not gonna get into details, but I had a moment last month um, where I couldn't do anything but pray, literally nothing but pray. Um, and it's crazy how much you can hear
Sorry, he has a
when
lot
it's
to say.
complete silence. When it's complete silence is when you really can hear.
That's deep. I like that one.
I'm telling you, like, I'm not gonna get into details, but just know that when everything's off and there's nothing but darkness and silence around you, when you really start to hear. But um, keep things going. I know Cooley brought up the pandemic and things that happened during that, but now that we are coming out of quarantine, you know, how has your mental health changed from when quarantine and we couldn't go places and couldn't be around people to now having that freedom back? Like, do you feel like there's been a significant change in your mental health from from then to now?
Hmm.
It's definitely
Um,
been growth.
Hmm?
you said what?
Like I say there was growth in it. Like I can, I guess, cope with it better. Because I mean, like I'm always gonna probably be up. I'm not gonna lie, for many various reasons that we'd be here all night if I were to sit here and name them. So we're not. Um, so it's just that I guess because you never really ever get over anything. You just learn how to cope with it better, and that's what I'm working on is coping with things better. So in that aspect, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I still get hurt. I still feel, you know what I'm saying? I feel very hard actually. Too much. But I cope with it a lot better than what I used to.
I get that. I like to feel like sidebar before I answer the question. I like to feel like that we're like a blank sheet of paper, and like we look different. We're all unique in one way, shape, or form or another, but we are still a blank sheet of paper that gets paint strides and strips and different markings through the stuff that we go through. Um, and like how you said, we don't really like move away from it, but we cope. Um, I feel like that's that drawing or that those paint strips that make us who we are. So it's like once you deal with certain things, it's up to you to see the the ugly or the art. You know what I'm saying? Like how it comes to you. It's up to you to figure out if that helps stroke your paint. Um, and you never know how what you go through can help you be a blessing to someone else. So or how you can help someone else through teaching, through many other forms, through a podcast show that talks about mental health. You just never know. Everything ties together, I feel like. But with that, on my answer towards this quarantine situation, personally, I feel like um I feel like we saying that it's the life after quarantine, but I still feel like we're still in some shape or form, still part of that quarantine. People people are choosing not handle or deal with things the same because of it. Uh People choose there's a lot of growth that came through it. A lot of people had used that time to build themselves and to build their mental health or their character or their finance. Um, but it tore a lot of people down. So it's a lot of like re figuring out who you are after this life after quarantine. And I think that's more like what I'm dealing with as far as figuring out who this character I've been from all these different situations from the past and through what I've been through or what I have been through during the quarantine as well. So, mm. What about you, Bars?
Um, I don't know. Quarantine was it
But
started off real rough for me. You know, that was son born in January 2000, and then uh separated from my wife in June, literally the day after our anniversary. Crazy. Um, and like life moved real fast for me. I had to get my own place and all this other stuff, and it was a dark time. Um, I'm going through all this stuff, and I can't even be around people to support me. That was rough. So I kind of had to go through it through my own. And I had some toxic moments, and I did some things I'm not so proud of to cope with feelings. I got through it. But quarantine itself wasn't that bad for me. I mean, I was working from home, and I've been here gaming on one side and working on another.
Jealous. I've been jealous the whole time.
um, and I mean, I wasn't really quarantining. Like, I mean, if I went somewhere, then yeah, I had the mask and all that stuff on. But I invited everybody over that wanted to come over. Quarantine didn't really slow me down. In fact, quar- quarantine itself, it was great. It was great. It was great. It wasn't bad for me. And then it's funny because if I were to talk about now, huh?
quarantine was low key lit.
I'm just saying, I now
And
I gotta drive to work. I don't like this shit because gas is expensive. So by all means, if y'all want to quarantine the world again, I am not against it. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think I am
because I was
either,
a
to be
kid,
honest.
I was just at home. We sent home a bunch of enrichment packets, and all I had to do was sit at home and wait for my phone to ring, which it rang like 2 or 3 times a week about for questions from students and parents or whatever, because they would call like my classroom, my extension, and then they had to forward it to my cell phone or whatever. So, but I have that membership at that presidential resort in Fredericksburg. So I was there a lot of the quarantine, just camping. Yo, that was the summer of my 27th birthday. That was the wild birthday. We went to the resort. We was lit. We had a hot tub. Can I get a hot tub? But I don't know. At the same time, though, as fun as it was, a lot of that stuff I was doing was to cover up and or to run away from my own thoughts. And you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's why I guess last year, towards I even at the end of the quarantine, I guess is when it really hit me because you know what I'm saying, I got pregnant with Levi. And with that, I had to stop drinking. I had to stop doing extracurriculars. I couldn't go out late. I couldn't go out and party. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do the things I was doing before. And I had to stop running away and I had to really actually sit and embrace it all. And it came all crashing in on me at once.
Mm.
That was hard. You know what I'm saying? Like that was hard. That was a deep, dark time in my life. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I guess for most of quarantine, I guess I would say I was running. But the running was lit though.
As long as you was having it litty.
The running
Definitely
was
had a
lit.
couple things come in. Definitely appreciate them packages. I wish we had some more stem packs. You know what I'm saying? Throw them stem
Right,
packs out here just to throw.
right.
It was somebody. I just got hip on someone who was running for office that was trying to give us like compensation on just like living wages. Um, where that's at? Like who he was and why he ain't president? Because I agree. I think that would help mental health alone. But I ain't even gonna go into that.
Um,
The baby sleep.
so
Oh,
I think his
whenever,
name was Andre Young, something like that. Andrew Yang.
but while we are on the topic, children and parenthood, let's let's talk about the stress of being a single parent. And I am so fortunate to have a very amazing support system. I say I don't still have stress in dealing with me. It's nothing compared to, you know, men and women in my life completely over. Um, why are you giggling?
Continue.
Um, but yeah, I know um one of my friends. I'm not gonna put his name, but him and his wife also split during quarantine. I guess she's reliving her college days, always out and partying and living her life. And Snook, you're shaking your head like you're agreeing to this. But anyway, I get to
I
this to
just
say,
know.
yeah, like he was really stressed because, I mean, he was a very active father, but he stepped into a role
I
where
think.
he had to be an active father as well as try and compensate for their mother not being in their life. And that was one thing that me and him kind of bonded over, was because I kind of understood that. Like, even when I was married, I was still, you know, the more active with the children. And that's been 10 times more since we're not together. And even still, I feel like I'm not as active with them as I want to be. Because of course the whole co-parenting thing, but he really struggled. I remember one night he called me. I was like, "Yo, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm stressed, broke. I want to work more, but I can't because I got the kids." And he was just really going through it, and it kind of scared me because I've never, like, I've known this man for a while, and I've never heard him talk like this, and like it was scary, and I really had to I think I talked to him on the phone for like an hour because I had to bring him back down to zero. Like, he had me scared. I really had no idea what he was gonna do because he was talking like, "Yo, I'm tired. Like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I just can't. I just can't progress. You know." And yeah, it was different. Like, I've never seen him like that. Um, and like I said, I spoke about him because you don't hear about God's point of views, but I know just as many, probably more women who go through it as well. Um, and not even talking about people who are single parents who are actually living with or involved with the father. Father just not on his part, but it's a whole
My
nother story.
thing keeps freezing. Alive.
Hmm?
His screen keeps freezing. Ah, that's what she said. But I'm gonna talk on the other side while her screen. I think she should be the one talking, really. But yeah, are you good?
It
I,
keeps
I,
freezing.
All
It
right, I'm
keeps
gonna let you go
freezing.
first.
I
Well,
think
you
you're
you
good
you
now.
active now. It's the
Yeah,
frosted. Go.
I'd be
All
frosted.
right, I'm gonna say I'm a half a single parent because you know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna hide the fact that I got two children's dads. I'm frozen again. All right.
Yeah, just keep it.
Um, but my daughter's dad, you know what I'm saying? Like me and him have personal complaints about one another, and we have our personal shit. But he's a good ass dad. I'm not gonna fault him for that. So he be saying and doing some stupid shit sometimes, but he a good ass dad, and he supply and he spends a lot of time with his daughter, and he like that's world, and I know that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a parent. Like that is a daddy's girl through and through. Um, Now my son's dad. I haven't heard from my son's dad since I think on the night of New Year's, he had hit me up on some random like Happy New Year. It was just like Happy New Year, and that was all I heard from. Well, no, randomly like last minute, like hey, I didn't have any babysitter. He didn't help either because I was like, are you busy? And he's like, no, but he was in 7-5, so that didn't help me. So, but yeah, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And it's okay. So yeah, it's hard. It is really hard because a lot of days I have mom guilt. Like, did I do enough? Like, did I time with kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like I don't know. And especially with my son, like, is he gonna be okay? Am I doing it right? I'm doing it by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like literally everything, financially, everything. Taking care of him. My mom watches him for me when I'm at work. And it's kind of a gamble because I work at Target on the weekends. A lot of times I have to go out because I can't, like, I'm really available to watch him or both of my kids. Um, I mean, what can I do? But
Mhm.
yeah, and it gets hard. Like, there was a one point, like, we were in here living check, and especially when I was on maternity leave, like, if it weren't for the Petersburg Food Bank, there was no way I was going to be able to feed my child because it got to the point, like, I made sure she ate, and then I would eat her scraps. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was food for the night. Um, but, you know, it's whatever. I mean, I think I'm handling it okay. I do miss,
You doing it.
maybe to
That
have,
is
like,
handling it.
go out or have free or whatever, but at the same time, I wouldn't trade the time with my son for the world, you know? Like, now that he's here, like, he's mine. Like, why wouldn't I wanna spend all my time with him?
And not to
Yeah,
but people don't understand how overstimulated
my screen's
it can
frozen.
be sometimes when you're always your children can be overstimulated. And like I said, there was a time where, you know, I was always with the boys. I love them to death, but that doesn't mean it doesn't get overstimulated. And especially since like when me and my wife split, like my youngest son was only like 5 months. So you know, having to go through newborn stage as a dad, by yourself, especially with the fact that she was breastfeeding and I was bottle feeding, and I don't like. We actually didn't have this discussion until a couple months ago because a friend of mine asked me how do you wean out off of breastfeeding, and it was at that point I realized I didn't know when she stopped breastfeeding my youngest son. Which at that point I found out was like when he was 9 months. So that means for 4 months after we split, you know, we were still going through this breastfeed formula feed, and he yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, and it was very overstimulating. I think the one thing that saved me is the fact that I am a night owl. So I never felt like I didn't get enough sleep because most of the time if he woke up in the middle of the night, I was already up anyway. I learned to operate off of sleep at a point. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, people don't talk about that overstimulation.
And it's funny you bring that up because today, like, I was very much overstimulated. And, what I'm saying, I get irritated and stuff, but I try not, like, I do my best. And sometimes, I do sometimes take out my frustration, like, by yelling at the kids, but I always apologize. Like, I'm so sorry for yelling at you. You did not deserve that. Mommy's just really frustrated right now, but I am so sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, because today, I was trying to make a little TikTok, right? Oh, that's all I was trying to do, a little story time while I did my makeup, like a get ready with me type of thing, because I'm trying to put content out on my thing. So, but like everybody kept trying to call and text me, and then this 800 number kept trying to call me, and I finally answered it. It was USAA telling me someone in Florida was trying to spend $400 on my account, so now they're just send me yet another card. This is like the fourth one in the last like 3 months. Like, what the fuck? And then, like, the cat threw up on the floor, Aria's bouncing off the walls, Levi keeps crying and fussing. And then and I was almost done with the TikTok, and the TikTok, I guess, decided you didn't need anything else before, and it deleted everything. And at that point, I was like, fuck it, fuck it. And I was just so irritated. And then I was running behind to get them their baths, get them fed, all that, and then had to hop on here. That's why when I got on here, I told y'all, like, I'm overstimulated and irritated. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? They will never be this day old again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this day is over. I'm not gonna get that back. And
Speaking of
they're
that,
not gonna be the young ever. So I mean, at the same time, like, yes, I'm irritated, but they're just so goddamn cute.
Get your cousin.
What?
Get your cousin, Snook.
well, what happened?
Moral of the story: get rid of the cat. Yo, Maurice, you wild, bro.
I got 3 of them. I got 3 of them hoes. Fat Rosie, Rosie Bell, and Jack Jack.
That's a lot of cats to get rid of, but that ain't happening. We love the cats over here. Maurice, behave
All
yourself.
I wanted was 1 cat and ended up with
Snook, you
3.
behave
Don't know how,
yourself too.
but I
Well,
do
yeah,
know
we love the cats over here. I bet you do.
I ain't talking that way. Listen, I
how.
wanted to add to the stress of the single parenting on the other perspective, um, because I have a wonderful team. Their mom is beyond capable of doing her part as well. She's a great mom to the kids that we have. Um, Tomorrow is supposed to be my daughter's birthday, and just like you were saying, like they would never be that day old. I will not be able to see her. Of course, I can talk to her. I'll be at work, so long story short, I'm not able to see her. Um, but
Speak of the
uh, yeah, the cats. That's
yeah,
a black cat
I throw
too.
up.
You
It was a
crystals,
great cat,
witchcraft. I
Tabby.
gotta watch you. Whatever, I watch you. But anyway, um, it's hard for those. You'd be surprised how many people that aren't involved every day that still deals with stress, um, or even coping with having that disassociation with their kids. Because I am one of those who, I built a foundation with my kids for years. We ain't talking about 1, 2 years. We're talking about years, 10 years plus, of building them with a culture, with a family behind my family, connecting them with many different things that once the separation had came to a head, those things are semi out of my hand now. Some of those are being played, and it's like immortality. They're going to be there forever. The systems that I put in place, but there's a lot of things that I get to miss out on those day to day, which is a peak of stress that I have to deal with or cope with because there's I can't be as involved as I was. Um, even if I had them every other day or had them one week and then she had them the other week, they're still missing those phases or situations where I came from a culture of having them every day and all day. So um, I just wanted to speak on that single parenthood from the other perspective as well.
Um, while we are on the topic of parenthood, let's talk about parental, daddy issues, mommy issues. I don't think people realize how much your childhood and your interaction with your parents, between your parents, or things you saw your parents do growing up can have effect on you once you grow up. My sister and I, I went one day. I went grocery shopping with her. I think we sat in the car for like 20 minutes before we went to the store. And we talked about how like our mother didn't show us love in the traditional. It wasn't like hugs and kisses and I love you. She had a very distinct way of showing love. And if you didn't know her or you didn't understand her way of showing love, she came off cold. Um, and I think that's why like I had issues growing up with trying so hard to find love or at least find attention in women. It took me a minute to realize like, you know, I'm kind of compensating for the love that I may have been missing growing up, and I had to, kind of differentiate and learn my own, definition of what love is. Um, and I think now I've gotten to a point where I've kind of came out of that. Um, I've learned that lesson, and I don't think I've mastered it, but I think I've made good progress on it. But you know, that was my, I guess you could say, parental issue. Um, and it's like Maurice in the chat, he says he has super abandonment issues. Maurice, what do you feel like caused your abandonment issues? Because my mom worked two jobs and went to school, and I felt like she was never there, and I completely understand that. Completely understand. Completely understand that. Yeah. Um.
I had to keep giving him my thumb. He used to just suck on my thumb. I mean, he wasn't always as big as he was. Suck on my
But
thumb to
you
make,
know, and that
just to
scares me
feel better.
because it
Well, my
scares me
thumb
because
scares you?
no, the whole
Oh,
two
my
jobs is
bad. My bad. Another
because I'm
conversation.
doing that. Like I'm still working on like I do full on intent on finishing my master's program. I work two jobs. I'm at work 7 days a week because I'm doing this by myself. I pay my own bills, my own car note, my everything by myself. So it's like, and on top of like diapers ain't cheap, formula definitely ain't cheap, and it's hard to find. You know what I'm saying? So like, and I'm scared because I don't want my kids to resent me one day because I'm doing this for them. But and that's where that mom guilt comes in because I'm like, could I be spending more time with them? You know what I'm saying? Like last year on Mother's Day, you know how kids make them little cards like all about mom? And the section where it says my mom like what my mom likes to do in her free time, she likes to whatever, something like that. And my daughter put work. My mom likes to work. Like that's what she associates with me. I'm always at work. Like, but I mean, I don't have a choice. So
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Um, so yeah, that I don't know. As a
So
parent, like I don't want to cause my children to have issues like that.
don't let that deter you. And I only say that because um my dad has always been like the breadwinner of our family. Growing up, my dad worked swing shift. I don't think my sister realized it much. I think by the time she got of a more cognitive age, I think he had moved to a more stable shift. But when I was growing up, he was on swing shift. So he would work 12 at night to 8 in the morning, or 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, or 4 in the afternoon to 12. So depending on what shift he was, sometimes I wouldn't see him for days. If he worked 12 to 8, by the time he gets home, I've gone to school, and then if I came home, it's probably sleep. If he worked 8 to 4, that was the only time when he was on 8 to 4 shift was when I would see him. He worked 4 to 8. By the time I got home from school, he was already going to work. By the time he got home at 12, I'm asleep. When I get up in the morning, he's asleep and I'm getting ready to go to school. So I think that's why, as I was younger, I clung to my mother more because she was the parent who was like around. But as I got older and now that I have kids of my own, I see like, he was doing it so we could have all the nice things that we had growing up. Like I understand, and I think I have more of a connection with him now. Not saying I didn't have a connection with him growing up, but it was kind of hard to have that connection with him. Like I think I'm pretty sure like my sister has a much stronger connection with my parents than I do, and I think a lot of that comes with the fact that me and my mom butted heads so much, and
Mhm.
growing up, my dad. I don't want to say he wasn't there because he was there. He just wasn't in my view. Let me say that he wasn't in my view, but he was there. So like, my sister, I feel like is closer to our parents because by the time, like I said, she got to a cognitive age, my dad had a stable schedule of work, and my mom had started, the family business, and her and my dad were making things work, and schedule allowed them to be around more. But by this time, I'd kind of gotten into this thing of where I was to myself, and I've come around now because I have kids, and like I now that they're older and they're more stable and they have more time, like I want them to be around them to see like the good people they are, and they have that connection with them, and I'm rebuilding my connection with them. So I say this to say like, yeah, you're working, and they don't understand it now because in their minds, bills and you know rent and or mortgage, car payments, insurance, none of that exists to them. But when they get older and they kind of have responsibilities on their own, they'll understand it more. Now I know you don't want to wait till then, but you're doing a good job. No matter what thoughts may cross your mind, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, you're doing a fabulous job. And when you do have the chance, whenever you do, just make sure you spend that time. Maurice said something that was important, which was
Right.
but technically you said it too, Tommy. There was a phase or a period where because of that either resentment or lack of knowledge or understanding, that still helped mold you to who you are or who you became. You still walked around with those paintings, as I say, but scars that you had until you got to a point of realizing that those scars were part of art. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
there was a point where that had came into a transition. But during that part, all that time in between, you still build who you were based off of that lack of knowledge. So I mean, I just feel like it's always a way to in my case, I'm always trying to be very, very open about everything that's going on so I can always have that relationship of at least we both can express on both ends how we're feeling towards each other. Um, I just want to advertise sidebar. I use this app called Waffle. It's a diary or journal app, and I have this app being used as a journal with a couple of people, including like I have a journal with a couple of my kids individually. Like we just have this journal that we can write in. It has questions and statements and all that, but it gives them the leeway to talk to me about that lack or what they appreciate and vice versa. And it's a very, very, I mean, some people, kids ain't at that stage yet, but for those who are, it's very beneficial for us to be able to have those conversations when, when they feel like they can have that conversation. So, of course, they probably still going to feel like, hey, I could be here at this time, or this could have been done better, or decisions weren't best made. And then they realize it as they get older. But in the meantime, trying to make sure that you know that these are situations that might come to play and being able to engage conversation with that is very important. So
Before I kind of piggyback off that, I want to point out I assume this is triple threats. I see three threat three. Um, said being a latchkey kid and I never felt abandoned. I knew he was working to build for a better setup. And
that's what
see, you were um
I can make it
cognitive enough
comfortable.
to realize like that your parents had to make a sacrifice to provide for you. It didn't deter how much love they had for you. but you knew like, you know, things had to be done. Um, but in past line of works, I've seen how children can grow up and not understand like, how a parent has to do this and a third, or may have to sacrifice this to provide for their children, and how that opens, like, it leaves a void in their heart that negative influences can easily fill. You would be so surprised how many kids join gangs because they had no one there to support them. No one made them feel important. No one showed them love. No one paid them attention. You know, and I only said that to say that you were fortunate enough to realize that, and that void in your heart, you know, was filled with love and respect, you know, for the people who were providing for you. But there's so many kids who don't. That void never fills with the right energy. And it can lead them down such dark paths. But to get back what you were saying, Snook,
Well, wait, before you get to that, I just wanted to ask an important question.
mhm.
Um, Cooley, was you digging out a wedgie? Was you digging out a wedgie just now on camera? I just
No,
wanted to know.
I was
I just
stretching
saw
my
that.
back. Listen, look, I was hitting my back because I look, my back hurt and I can't sit
All
comfortably.
right,
Like I'm sitting on the floor.
I
No.
apologize. I
First of
thought,
all, you
and
have
I
to
would try
wear,
not
you know what?
to.
Y'all are
You have to wear drawers to have a wedgie.
My bad.
transparency.
I'm
He told me
sorry.
straight up
I'm sorry.
everything
I don't wear.
we need to know.
Let me
Transparency,
finish.
Cooley. That's what we was talking
Um,
about here.
so I like that, and that kind of goes into what I was gonna say. Like, my kids are young, but I've instilled in them, like, at an early age, like, you can talk to me about anything. And that's how I found
Oh,
out a lot of things that were happening to them, you know, when they're not with me. I think that's really big, Slug, and I commend you for, creating the avenues with your kids for them to be open and honest with you, because a lot of a lot of kids don't have that opportunity, especially when they have older parents, or parents who still go by a more old school method of parenting. And I want my sons to know, like, no matter what it is, like, you can talk to me. Like, don't ever feel like you have to hide from me or shy away from me. Um, like, I'm always, I'm always keeping 100 with them. Like, and I'm hoping that by doing that, they'll understand. Like, yeah, okay, I can talk to dad. Yeah, I may have to, get a lecture with it, but at least I know he's gonna have my back. He's gonna support me, and he's gonna help me, help steer me out of it. Like, I don't want them to ever feel like they have to hide stuff, because so much stuff happens to kids. And a lot of it happens out of fear. There was an article that's been going around since, like, yesterday. A 6-year-old was sexually assaulted on the bus, and he held that for a while. I think the mother started asking the book bag. The book bag went missing, and they went back because the mother was trying to figure out, and they watched the bus surveillance and saw it, and so she started asking him about it, and she's like, the more he started to open up and speak to her about it, like, just the more, you know, like the story just got worse. And so, like, I don't ever want my kids to feel like they have to hide anything or be afraid that something's gonna happen if they tell me. Like, no, I got your back. Talk to me. Don't ever feel like, you have to hide, because your daddy got your back always. And that's why
My kid, I'm
I
putting in
commend you.
charge.
That's big.
appreciate it. Speaking of backs, Maurice or Ink Moist, I'm sorry, wanted to state that he is down to come in to assist whatever back rubs or
I
scratches.
saw.
Oh,
I
all right.
saw.
I'm sorry.
I saw.
Just
I'm ignoring it.
okay, my bad. It's the transparency part. I apologize.
Oh my God, y'all are
I'm
hilarious.
ignoring it.
Um,
Thanks for the offer
hey,
though, but I'm good.
damn. Oh, we missed out on the. That's okay. That's okay. Um, So I just realized we have definitely hit our time. We missed a lot of good topics, but that's the great thing about the last episode of the season, the curtain call. If we didn't talk about it during the episode, it's getting put on the curtain call. So anything we miss, don't worry. We'll get to it later. But next week is.
With that being said, thank you for attending.
No! We gotta talk about next week's episode. Jerk. Next week's episode is Heated Hearts, the Valentine's Day special. And I feel like this is going to be a pretty dope episode. We have some information for you guys. We'll be posting later on this week on the page and in the story about the 5 love languages quiz, because we definitely want you guys to take this quiz prior to coming to this episode. If you can't, it's cool. We're going to talk about it anyway. But it'll definitely help you be a little more engaged in what we're going to talk about. But take it away, Cooley.
Thanks for coming out. You guys been awesome. Shut the fuck up. Thanks for coming out. Y'all been awesome and responding to the chat. We wouldn't be us without y'all. So thank you. Make sure you're here next week and hang out with us in the lounge afterwards. I might be there, because I'm the only one anybody cares about anyways. Let me look at me. Anyway. Anyways, good night, y'all.
Peace!